And like Arissa rocked up in the morning and I was like, I feel like I've seen her in some contests before. Like she rips, like just young girl. And then she like just killed it all day. And then like one lady at the bowl. Then like a few months later, she did she's the first woman to do a 900, which like got a lot of it. Which like got a lot of attention in like skateboarding circles. And then she won the gold medal, which is just, like the whole world's talking about it. And it's just kind of wild. It's just like, that's the girl that was like ripping Belco bowl like 6 months ago. Now she's all over the like international news.
That's me.
That's you.
Yeah.
Right. There you go.
That's me.
I feel silly now.
I was doing a switch frontside flip, and that's me. I was like,
that's cool.
I was like, what? That's me.
Erindale brick banks. They are like Belco Bowl. They're a really iconic skate spot. Like they've had international coverage. They're in so many skate videos, and it's such a unique spot. Tony Hawk and Lance Mountain and a few other like Bones Brigade guys skated this thing in I want to say the late 80s, which is pretty epic, right? It's got a lot of history and a lot of heritage value, not just in skateboarding, but just in like the theme of Erindale when it was built.
So Henny did this kickflip first try.
Of course he did. It's Henny. He's so good.
And the photo also is first try because of that.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and it was the first time I used fisheye lens, and the first time I used external flashes.
That's wild, dude.
It was first try everything. Yeah, it was a beautiful moment. So to me, this is my number one favorite photo along with the moment.
Got a couple of Canberra legends in the house today. Woody and Alby, welcome guys. Thank you for joining us in the flats.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure, and very keen to hear some stories from you guys. And we are live on Twitch, so if you are watching, hit some comments and some questions for the guys in the chat. But what's been going on, guys? We'll get stuck into it. Been keen to get you both in, and what's been happening lately?
Too much. Already started like discussions and plannings for Belco Bowl Jam 2025.
Yeah.
Like, even though it's like February, so far away, but already getting the ball rolling on a lot of that stuff, which is exciting.
Yeah.
And just trying to skate and get a roll in between work and everything else that life throws at us.
Absolutely, try to squeeze it in. And Albie, some photo sessions or anything lately?
Unfortunately, not enough.
Not enough. Yeah, it's always.
I think winter's got something to do with it.
Yeah.
Being cold and everything, but also I haven't been skating enough, which is a bit of a shame. So
we should
Woody, maybe you should give me some inspiration. And get me out there.
Well, Woody's probably the best guy for that job. Vice president of the Canberra Skateboard Association, and out there pushing skateboarding to get people active and into the skate parks. How's that been going?
Pretty good. There's a lot happening like very recently, actually. Like as a lot of you are probably aware, there's like an ACT election coming up very soon, and we've been like through Canberra Skateboarding Association, like lobbying really hard to try and convince the government or whoever's running in that election to commit to building new skate parks. We've been having some chats with MLAs, and there's been some announcements from some of the parties about what they want to do in certain areas. So it's all happening. Busy times. And
how do you find that that world, having to straddle the world of the skateboarding world and the politics? Like you've done it for quite a while now. How do you find having to deal with that stuff?
It's frustrating at times, I won't lie. But it's one of those things like if we want to get skate parks built, you have to engage in that process at some level. And I think like whether you're just pushing for your city or your town to build a skate park, or even if you're like, doing the DIY thing like a lot of people in America do, at some point you're going to need to engage with local government and with local politicians to get these things happening. It's not always fun. It's frustrating, but you've got to be really persistent. And I just, I've been at it for like 10 years now, and we're getting some traction on some things. And I think the other things that we do through the Skate Association, like the Learn to Skateboard sessions and Belco Bowl Jam, they are kind of showing local government like, hey, like we've got really good events. We've got really good skateboarding community here. Like Canberra's kind of on the radar because of Belco Bowl Jam on an international scale. It's like, why don't you guys put the money into the infrastructure so the infrastructure keeps up with everything else cool that's happening here? So yeah, everything's kind of feeding into each other, and we've got a bit of momentum at the moment. It's gonna be really exciting to see what happens over the next like 6 months with the election coming up.
Has the Olympics helped with that sort of stuff? Having the sport introduced into the Olympics?
I think so, yeah. And like, you know, like the Olympics, if there's one thing that it's done for skateboarding, it's put a lot of like mainstream eyes on it. And I know it's like, I think amongst skateboarders, it's like a little bit of a hot or controversial topic. Like I personally, this is me speaking for myself, like not about like CSA's position or anything, but I find like I value the creativity and freedom that's inherent to skateboarding. And I think sometimes when you have like events, like competitions like the Olympics or Street League or anything else, where things get boxed into like a scoring criteria and rules, some of that creativity just, you know, it gets kind of whittled away a little bit. So I personally, you know, I don't get super excited about the Olympics, but I also understand that it is a good thing for skateboarding and it's very advantageous to what we're trying to do because it's getting all this mainstream attention and everyone's talking about it. Like everyone I work with, like the moment after like Alyssa True won the gold medal, like everyone I worked with, everyone I know outside of skateboarding circles is like, oh my God, did you see the young girl that won the gold medal? Like that was incredible. Like the kind of people you wouldn't expect to know or care about skateboarding, right? And local politicians definitely saw it and were super stoked on it. I know like there are a couple of local MLAs that were at Belco Bowl Jam watching Arissa True skate in the Bowl Jam and win Lady of the Bowl. And then they saw that same girl like win a gold medal and get like worldwide attention for it. And that's awesome. Like that's an awesome thing in and of itself, but it's also really cool for like kind of pushing the cause to get more public skate parks. Yeah. Yeah, there she is there. Back-to-back 540s. Like, that's incredible. And it's cool, too, because, like, Belco Bowl Jam, like, I just had my little spiel about how, like, I'm not super interested in, like, contest skating or I don't find it as fun to watch. But Belco Bowl Jam's, like, a bit of a unique beast in that it is a jam format. Like, there's no timed runs or wristbands or, like, rules, really. It's just kind of, like, get in there and go for it. And because it is a bit more loose and fun, you know, it's more fun to watch. And some of the younger skaters that have grown up skating in these like rigorously structured competitions, like get to sort of like be a little more creative and let loose and have fun. Like yeah, that's so gnarly. Like the doubles runs, they were kind of cool. Like I can't remember who Arissa was skating with in the doubles run, but they were like kind of getting super creative, and I think she did a 540 over the top of someone else or something like that. It's super cool. It's the kind of thing you wouldn't see in like an Olympic format, but you know, skateboarding, it means different things to different people, and it's for everyone. And like some people get excited about, you know, filming skate videos with their friends and street skating. Other people get excited by contests, but there's room for all of it. And like,
or I think photography,
or shooting photos like Albert, like filming videos, hitting the streets, or going in contests. Like I think there's room for all of that, right? And I don't necessarily think that like something like Olympic skateboarding is ever going to make all of these like other things go away. Like if there are people out there that like, you know, are of the opinion that like Olympics have ruined or taken something away from skateboarding, it's just like, dude, go outside and skateboard. It's just as fun as it was before it was in the Olympics. Nothing's changed, you know, like all that other stuff is still there. So yeah, it's cool. It's exciting.
And you mentioned the Alyssa True there. That what was it like seeing her at an event that, and then what happened a few months later?
Pretty epic. Like I'll be completely honest with you. Like she rocked up. I didn't know who she was. Like there was like, it's crazy. The last 4 or 5 bowl jams, there have been so many like really young kids that rock up super early in the morning when we're setting up and just do stuff that 10, 15 years ago would have been like the trick of the bowl jam and shut it down. Like the kids rock, like I saw a kid rock up and do a 540 at 7:30 in the morning when we're setting scaffolding up like 2 years ago. Like just warming up. And like Arissa rocked up in the morning and I was like, I feel like I've seen her in some contests before. Like she rips, like just young girl. And then she like just killed it all day. And then like won Lady of the Bowl. Then like a few months later, she did she's the first woman to do a 900, which like got a lot of it. Which like got a lot of attention in like skateboarding circles, and then she won the gold medal, which is just, you know, like the whole world's talking about it. And it's just kind of wild. It's just like that's the girl that was like ripping Belco Bowl like 6 months ago. Now she's all over the like international news. It's pretty cool. Like she'd have to be stoked with that.
Oh yeah.
Like,
the bowl jam above the Olympics, of course.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's kind of like two, like they're like the vibe of like the Olympics versus the vibe of bowl jam like couldn't be more different, but they're like both fun. And like a lot of people who, I mean, like a handful of people who skated in bowl jam like also skated in either the Olympics or the Olympic qualifiers, and it's just like there's room for both of those kinds of things in skateboarding, I think. Yeah.
And it sounds like it's only going to be bigger and better because of, as you mentioned, that age of and level that kids are getting to nowadays. Whereas before it was a development that took decades. Now they're already ripping.
It's insane how quick how quick kids learn stuff, and it's kind of cool like seeing how much like Belco Bowl Jam in particular has grown too. Like I've been going since I was like 12. I went to the first or second one in like 2002, I think. And it's still, even though it looks like this really big deal contest with all of these sponsors and stuff, it's still a grassroots event. It's run by like a handful of volunteers. There's like 5 or 6 of us that plan it behind the scenes, and there's so much work, but it's still a grassroots event. And it's like at a point now where it's so big that we're having to make sure that we pick a weekend to run it that doesn't clash with events that are happening in like America and stuff, because people want to fly in for it. And like that gets like local government here excited too, because it's having like an economic impact. People are coming here and spending money at local businesses and, you know, like staying in Canberra. And then like, it's also maybe not so much Canberra, but Belco specifically, it's kind of giving it a reputation on like an international scale. Like I've actually like traveled overseas and like met people in Japan, and they've asked where I'm from. I'm like, oh, I'm from Canberra in Australia. And they're like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, well, like, you know, where the big spider bowl is, like Belco Bowl, and straight away they've seen the Thrasher video of Belco Bowl Jam, and they're like, oh yeah, no, I know Belco, you're from there. So it's like, it's kind of cool. Like meeting people on the other side of the world, they don't know what Canberra is, but they know Belco Bowl.
Belco on the
map. It's cool.
That's so cool. Yeah.
And how long have you been attending the bowl jams and getting snaps?
Getting snaps? So the first bowl jam I went to was probably 4 years ago.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So
it's chaotic trying to get photos of that place.
A bit late in the game, and the first time I went, I didn't have a camera with me, nor did I have the skills and the knowledge to be able to take skate photos at the time. So I felt like, you know, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of skaters skating at Bowl Jam and the surrounding events as well, and also there's a lot of photographers and filmers. I always felt like I didn't need to.
It's like a paparazzi squad,
add,
right?
I didn't need to add to the mix. So I will just, I always took it as the opportunity to watch skateboarding with my own eyes, without anything in between.
Yeah.
Except for my glasses, perhaps, you know. But the last bowl jam where you pulled up the photo earlier, that was the time when I thought, oh, you know, I'll bring my camera, but I'll bring an analog camera and take photos of people instead of the people skateboarding. I wanted to get the people element of it.
That's cool. That's really cool, because Bowl Jam's also one of those events where like everyone just comes out of the woodwork for it. Like I'm always so run off my feet on the day with everything that's happening, but like anyone who's ever like been in the vicinity of like skateboarding in the last 20 years will just like appear out of nowhere for Bowl Jam and come and have a good time. It's like this big party, and then like you've got all the people traveling like in a state, so it's kind of like this it's like summer nights but for skateboarding. Like it's a bit like that, and it's insane how much it's grown over the 4 years that I've come. It's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I think people also need to recognize that you and your mates did a lot of work to you know to put these big events together, and you know people have fun doing these. Yeah, I mean that's what it's all about, right? Like we do it because it's super fun, and it's just like we're fans of skateboarding, right? Like it's super cool to see like people travel from America to skate your local park and then
right.
see it in a Thrasher clip and just like some of the stuff that's happened in recent years. It's just like as stressful as the build up to it can be with all of the planning that no one sees behind the scenes. It's always worth it on the day when like you see stuff go down. Like my personal favorite like moment from like the last bowl jam, what wasn't the actual bowl jam, was like on the street spot crawls that we do. Nixon did 50-50 down this, I think like a triple kink rail near Belco Library. And like people have been sizing up that rail for like 20 years or more at least, maybe 30. And no one's ever done it. Like Lizard King tried to board slide it in like 2006 or 7, I think.
Slide, really?
Yeah, and like, yeah.
This
And like
Oh my
Nixon
God.
just handled it, like right here. Like this is so cool. Like I think he got it like in 3 tries maybe.
It's less than 10, I think. So there's
Like yeah, this people have been like talking about doing this for years, and he just kind of was like, yeah, cool, got it.
I remember in school I used to catch a bus and I used to walk past this rail a few times, and that was in, I don't know, 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
Um,
So I love this. I love that there's just a big sort of like renegade crowd of people at a street spot, and he does the rail and everyone celebrates. It's like such a different thing to kind of like, you know, people in
this
grandstands. Oh, this guy, yeah.
nah.
Oh, man.
At least he tried it though, and he didn't get that hurt. So,
But yeah, the street spot, like, because like bowl jams kind of evolved from, it used to just be like just the event at Belco Bowl, and now it's kind of evolving into like a full weekend of skateboarding in Canberra, which is awesome. It's like it's similar, like, so there's this thing that happens in Copenhagen every year, like this big skate event with like multiple events over a weekend that everyone travels to Copenhagen for. And it's like becoming kind of like that in Canberra. I've heard the term like Bogenhagen thrown around, which is great. Like I love it. But yeah, it really is sort of becoming like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing, which is awesome, because it means that like if you're not into like watching people skate a bowl, because you know some people don't find that as fun to watch, there, you know, there's stuff happening on the streets. There's like a pre-party, there's a post-party. Like it's just, yeah, it's great. It's so cool. It's like become like, it's just so naturally evolved into the event that it is. Like, you know, like we do a lot of hard work planning it, but it's become what it is because of just all of the people involved in it and every part of it, like the community and the people that come out and skate there, the locals that get in and we all paint the bowl. Like it's just snowballed into this like one of the funnest and one of the biggest, and I think the longest running skateboarding event in Australia. And it's kind of incredible that, you know, it's not this big behemoth that's run by some company or whatever. It's still just this grassroots thing that's like become this big. It's super fun.
I think it is probably the biggest skateboarding event in Australia.
I
Is it?
I don't know. I
What's
think
bigger?
I don't know. I think it's probably the most popular, or has like the reputation for being the most fun. I don't know. Like I know Street League do some like stadium events and stuff, but I don't know what the turnout's like at those kinds of things. But yeah,
Certainly in a permanent skate park, a public park, it'd be the biggest.
I'd think so. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's really cool to see, and seeing like Thrasher and stuff come down covering the event. That's
Michael
pretty
Burnett,
cool.
the Thrasher editor, has
That's
been
right.
down like 2 years in a row now, maybe
Yeah.
3, which is super cool. Like, and yeah, like companies are bringing team riders in for it and stuff, which is rad.
Yeah, that's right. Michael Burnett. When I saw him, I lost my mind, man.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, he's here.
Yeah, I had a little fan.
I gotta go
I had a
say
little
hi.
fan out moment as well. Yeah.
That was insane.
So that he's like the editor of, and he's was he a photographer too?
Photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy that got like he conceptualized King of the Road.
Yeah.
I don't know if you like saw the TV
Yeah,
series on
yeah,
Viceland
yeah.
a few years
Loved
ago,
it,
but that was
loved
his
it, yeah.
brainchild.
Yeah. Yeah, a few a similar vibe a bit to some of the Belco Bowl
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, just that kind of like loose, fun, sort of no
Yeah.
rules sort of
Yeah.
element of skateboarding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really cool. And so, what are some of your inspirations in the photography world, Albie, and what got you into it too?
So photography is not new to me. I've been, mucking around with cameras since I was in school. I learned photography in high school. and they had a photo lab in there. So, and we're not talking about digital cameras here. We're talking about analog cameras, black and white film, and that was the only thing I was able to develop in the lab. And I would buy, like, I remember a box of like 100 rolls, and it was like $1.50 for a roll, which is impossible today to find rolls for $1.50. They're at least $15, if not $30, $40, which is insane. But there's plenty of inspiration out there, and it's not just from the skateboarding world, but someone like Atiba Jefferson has been somewhat one of my heroes in terms of his work. Grant Britton, and also Michael Burnett. It's been a journey to learn skateboarding photography. It's only been, I don't know, the last 5 years. I think I've decided. I've been a skater for a while. Took breaks from skating, but never stopped watching skate videos during those breaks. The last 5 years, I met a few skaters at the Belco skate park. I thought, might as well start skateboarding again.
Yeah.
I've been missing this for quite some time, and at that time I think I took a break for maybe 4 or 5 years, and I was just like, I can't just watch. I just got to skate. It's also fear of getting hurt as well,
There's that whole factor to it, right? Like when you've got a day job and other responsibilities, you're like, oh man, if I get hurt, I'm gonna be off work. Like I've had a fair bit of that.
When I was in school, I was just like, oh yeah, I'll try and kickflip this set, no worries. But it's been, in terms of adding skateboarding photography to my photography journey, it's been really interesting, because it's a completely different way of taking photos. And I think for people out there who are looking to start skateboarding photography, you're a skater and you like photography and you want to put the two together, it is the most guerrilla way of learning photography, I think.
There's so many like extra complexities that skateboarding adds to photography. Like I've seen it so many times over the years where like people who are really good photographers like try to take skate photos, and the main thing they get kind of stuck on is like timing of tricks, right? Like knowing the exact moment to like shoot a photo of a tray flip when it's caught, like so that you can look at the photo and know what it is. Yeah. And like
it's like it's almost one of those ones where you need that. You need to be a skater. To be able
you need to know skateboarding, and like I'm gonna give you like a big compliment now. Like I've seen like in the time that you've like got into skate photography over the last few years, like your timing and your shots just get like better and better.
Oh, thanks, man.
Like you're an awesome photographer, but you've like the exact moment to like hit that trigger and pull that photo now, which is awesome, because it just like it turns a good photo into like a good skate photo.
Yeah, it's
that's awesome.
Sometimes the number of tries that it takes, it helps you. It gives you time to compose the right shot as well. And also, it's. I don't think this is a controversial topic in skateboarding photography, but some of these shots are not the make.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And they don't have to be. Yeah. Apparently that is.
I think
that is okay.
I think the unspoken rule is like if you get the trick in that session, like you can use a photo that's not a make, right? But you've just got to make sure that the skater gets the trick. I mean, there's no rules, but that's sort of like the unspoken rule, I guess.
Because sometimes the better photo is not the one from the make. So,
Have you had any like incidents yet where like you've had to kind of like you've been like bowled over by a skateboarder or a skateboard like shooting a photo? Because like that's the other thing that I know from like going out with Luke Brown and shooting photos years ago. Like he really likes to get like he shot photos of me where like he'll get so close to me while I'm doing the trick, and I'm like, I am gonna tackle him and squash him, and then he'll just like jump out of the way. There's been a couple of times he's like been sort of swiped or dropped a camera or whatever, like just 'cause
Yeah.
it's just part of, getting in there. Have you had any experiences like that yet?
Not crazy ones.
Yeah.
But I've had like boards hit me in the arm and
Yeah.
leg and stuff, but like I've never really gotten seriously hurt from it. I think Luke has gotten hurt.
Oh,
He
Luke,
does-
I think
and-
he got hit at Bowl Jam with a board and like,
Yeah, I think someone landed on him.
yeah,
That's what
I
I
felt
heard.
really bad for him because like
Yeah.
like to his credit, I've seen him shoot so many photos where I'm like, he's gonna get hit with a skateboard or like, he's gonna get knocked over, and he always gets out of the way. Like it's like a talent of his, and I guess he just got caught out. It's I guess it's one of the other things that makes skateboard photography challenging, right? It's like
Yeah.
getting the timing of the photos for the tricks, and then the hazard of potentially getting hit with a flying skateboard,
Yeah.
and
so-
then all of the regular challenges of just taking a good photo, right?
That's right. And sometimes, like you said, you either you get hurt from boards flying, or the riders hitting you, or your camera gear gets
Yeah,
gets
it's
ruined.
not
you
cheap.
know, smashing. A lens hit is always going to be something in the back of my mind,
Yeah,
whether I'm taking photos or sometimes filming. That's always a risk. I think Henny or someone. I think I got a bit close and got a lens hit, but it hit the hood
yeah,
of my fisheye. So I was like, oh, that's
yeah.
fine.
Got lucky.
It's just the hood.
Yeah.
Gives the lens a bit of character now, actually. But I think knowing how the skater is going to skate the spot, you can kind of after a while think about where their board might fly off to.
Yeah, like where the danger zone is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to get in the danger zone? Or are you going to get next to it?
Yeah.
Which but then something unfortunate sometimes happens, and the board gets shot out
Yeah.
before the skater tries it or bails it in the middle of the rail or something, and then you have to kind of sometimes you see me in funny positions, like
Yeah.
I'm like stretching a bit.
This sounds like it should be an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
Skateboard photography in the
yeah,
Olympics.
so-
Got a bit in there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are some postures you will see me do. I look like I'm doing Tai Chi or something,
Yep.
right? Where I'm ready to just pull away
Yeah.
from that if anything happens. So, and then I would rehearse that movement first to go, okay, this is how it move.
Yeah.
This is how it move. Yeah, to avoid that. So, which sometimes you think too much about that stuff, but you want to save yourself and your gear,
Yeah.
because these things are expensive too.
Do you have a favorite skate photo you've shot? Like a single favorite photo, or is it like one of those things where you can't really pick one?
Good point. It's difficult to pick. I would pick not just the photo, but the moment as
Yeah.
well when it happened. So
Yeah.
if you could pull up if you go all the way down, it's actually an early photo. Go up a bit. That one there.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good shot.
So Henny did this kickflip first try.
Of course he did. It's
yeah,
Henny.
yeah.
He's so good.
And the photo also is first try because of that.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and it was the first time I used fisheye lens, and the first time I used external flashes.
That's wild, dude.
It was first try everything
Yeah, right.
in this one, and when I looked at the photo, I was like, oh my god, like that's pretty good for a first try, And I was really happy with that. I put a flash here.
Yeah, that's
flash
that's
on this
awesome.
side.
Like so many
mean-
variables you're messing with, and
Yeah,
so many
yeah.
new things, and you managed to get that shot in the first
Yeah.
try. I love the shadow, and like I love the shadow in the background. How it
Yeah.
looks like something sort of balancing on the edge. Like you can't really tell what it is, but just the shapes that it casts. That's
Like-
so cool.
Like I could be nitpicking and go, oh yeah, I should have done this and that, but I was so happy with that, and Henny took a video on a tripod with his phone, and he got our reactions to it, and yeah, it was a beautiful moment. So to me, this is my number one favorite photo, along with the moment
Yeah.
as well. Yeah. So
It's funny how you talk about the moments, and like this is more like what I'm about to talk about, I guess, is more pertinent to like videography, right? But like I've like filmed with some people over the years that like they don't necessarily like capturing like everyone in the crew like getting all excited about their friend landing a trick in the footage. Like they want it to be like quiet while they roll away. But I don't know. I'm really big on like with footage, like just capturing like the footage capturing like the moment. Like so like some of my favorite skate videos are the ones that are a little less serious or just have like, you know, all of the crew or all of the friends of the person that's trying the trick, like they land it and they roll away and everyone's just like, fuck yeah. Like, you know, like
yeah,
it's
that feeling that your mate has landed something insane is just
yeah.
it's
And it's even cooler when like someone like, you know, lands a trick they've been battling for. And then if you're like shooting video or taking a photo or whatever, like if you get like a really good clip or a really good photo on top of like getting that trick, like there's that second wave of like, oh hell yeah, like you just landed the trick you battled for and you also got like a killer photo. Like it's like double whammy. It's the best feeling.
And how about you, Woody? Like what's the favorite trick that you've done? Not necessarily the hardest trick, but like your favorite trick that's either recorded or shot.
What, like that I've done or that I've shot? Like,
that you have done. Yeah.
I don't know. Like I when I was younger, I've done it a few times over the years, but when I was younger, like I grew up skating Erindale brick banks. It's like my favorite spot in the world. And you know, like in the Anti-Hero Tent City video, like John Cardiel does this like huge frontside nose blunt slide, and I watched that when I was like a pretty young kid and was just like, that is so fucking cool, and I really want to do that one day. And like, you know, like I wasn't trying to like bite his style or do the same trick as him. I just saw that and wanted to emulate it because I was like such a big fan of the guy.
There we go.
So that's the brick vert wall, which is like in a sort of similar spot. I don't have a photo online anywhere of the nose blind, but that's the same spot. That's probably that's my favorite photo, I think, that someone shot of me skating. Like that's a Luke Brown photo.
Luke Brown.
Yeah, he's a legend. But yeah, I think like when I was 17, I was like messing around on the brick banks, and I learned how to do all these tricks like on the main wall. And then I was just like, I'm gonna give a nose blunt slide a try, and I did one, and it was like a tenth of the length that John Cardiel did, because Cardiel did like his whole distance. But I got it, and then we put in our little like crew video that we did when we were teenagers, and it was just this really cool feeling to like kind of like, I don't know, emulate someone I really look up to in skateboarding. And then, you know, a few years later, I was like, I reckon I could still do it, and did it again. And I think Ella Sayers took a photo of it. I wouldn't mind giving it another go at some point. I reckon I still got one in me. But that'd be my favorite. And then I don't know. Besides that, like these days, the thing that gets me the most stoked, because I'm like 35 and I've had so many different like injuries and all these things that I'm sort of make it harder to go harder skating. I get really stoked when I like relearn flat ground tricks that I lost when I was a teenager, and like, you know, they're not super exciting to watch, but in terms of like how gratifying they feel, if I can like, you know, do a nollie tray flip or like a fakie hard flip or something, and it's like, you know, like if I get those back for a few weeks, I'm like, oh yeah, it's like the best feeling.
Yeah. It's funny that you mention these flat ground kind of, you know, technical tricks. When the Olympics were on, I was watching Skateboarding Street, and then I think a few days after it was the park.
Yeah, I did
was
watch
it.
Yeah. I caught some of the runs like afterwards, like the winning runs, but I didn't watch the whole thing.
So my brother doesn't skate.
Yeah,
but I was watching it intensely, and he was watching with me, and he was saying, okay, street is cool, but for someone who doesn't skate, park is cooler.
Yeah,
park is more, I think, digestible for people who don't skate or don't usually watch skateboarding, because he said street tricks from his perspective, they all look kind of the same.
Well, it's
jumping
hard,
down the set.
It's hard to understand what's going on, right?
He's like, it's very technical. I don't get why that one was harder than That
Like
one.
like there's
Yeah.
someone who doesn't know skateboarding is not going to know if someone's doing a trick switch, or
Yeah, that's
not going to
right.
know like a nollie trick
Yeah.
versus a fakie trick, like just by looking at it. Whereas
Mm.
people who are like super into skateboarding are obviously going to get it. And like, yeah, I think that would be hard for people who've never skated before or
Mhm.
don't know much about skateboarding to like appreciate how technical some of those tricks are. I had some workmates that sort of like were chatting to me about like watching the street comp at the Olympic
Mhm.
Games, and they were
Mhm.
just like, yeah, like, you know, they just kind of like jump and the board would fly away and they wouldn't land anything, and it's just like, what's this even about? And it's just like, oh dude, like
Mm.
I think it's like it's an example of one of those things where like it's really hard to take street skateboarding and put it into like box it into sort of like a
Competition.
competition
Mhm.
format, especially something as rigid as the Olympics. Like
Mhm.
it's still cool, and I'm not dissing it. Like I think there's space
Mhm.
for it in skateboarding, but yeah, you don't get the full picture. And
Mhm.
you probably don't get people taking chances or being as creative as they would be if you know like going out on a trip and filming like a video part or whatever,
That's
and
right.
like skating the streets where there's imperfections and like unique spots everywhere. Like
Yeah, and the scenery or
oh yeah, dude,
whatever
like
it is.
that's
Yeah.
that's my favorite thing about skateboarding is like it kind of turns like street skateboarding in particular. It just kind of turns like the whole urban world into this big playground. Like you think about
Mhm,
like how a kid like thinks and feels when they see like playground equipment or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like everything, the most like mundane urban infrastructure just becomes like so exciting. Like you probably know, like you go you go for a drive through a new city and you're like, oh dude, look at that ledge over there. Or look at that stair set. Look at that bank.
Yeah,
And like
that's
they're the
right.
kind of things that people who don't skate are just gonna like not even
What are
paying.
you looking
like,
at?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've been on like work trips where I've been like shared a taxi or whatever, and I've just
Yeah.
been like looking out the window like in wonder at like street spots in Melbourne, like on the way to the hotel or whatever,
Mhm.
and they've just been like kind of sitting there just like you know, bored, and they don't quite get what I'm excited about.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's like I think like most people get that same feeling maybe when they go on a hike and like see stuff in nature. Like when you go on a hike and you see like a really cool view at the top of a hill or like a waterfall or like something incredible in nature, and you get that like sort of sense of like wonder and excitement. Like you can get that by looking at like this just mundane lumps of concrete on the streets. Like when you get into street skating, like I think it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's funny that you brought hiking because yeah, it's kind of the same feeling.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
Yeah. We on the weekend we were skating somewhere out in the back of some mountain somewhere. And Dave Donahue was there, and he had some seeds on him, and I was just like, "What plant is that from, man? Where did you go?"
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, I took a piss back there." I was just like, "I need to know where that's from.
Yeah.
I need to know what plant that's from." So we traced it back and we found the plant. It's nothing exciting, but yeah, it's
cool
like
when
you said, yeah.
It's cool when you can combine the two. It's rare, but
Yeah.
it's cool. Like there's some really cool like stuff you can skate. Like it's like Canberra's surrounded by national parks. Like you've got like, you know, this city, and then you've just got like Namaji Park, like encapsulating it. You've just got like some of the most incredible nature, like right by a city. There's like concrete slabs out in Namaji that like you can skate on, and it's like kind of cool to go out there and skate like Aurora Valley and stuff like that.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think Ricky Baker has taken a few of us there before, and I was
Yeah.
like, wow, I didn't know there was.
Yeah, it's cool. It's one of those like
There
really
were
rare
some-
circumstances where you're like, oh, I'm like I can go skateboarding and be out in nature. Like,
That's right.
yeah,
And how about that back 50 that Jack O'Grady did at Blue Mountains? You know the.
is that the one where he gapped the rail to rail?
No. It was.
I don't think I've seen it yet.
A
I'm
few
bit
years
out of
ago,
the loop.
when Nike brought out a passport, the pair of passport dunks.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and then he back 50 this rail just like some mountain.
yeah. No, I know the
Blue
photo.
Mountains
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's
Pretty cool.
That is a grand photo for me. Like that
Yeah.
is- I can't
What was
remember
his
the-
last name, he said?
Jack O'Grady.
Don't know how lucky I'll be here.
Yeah, I think how many years ago was that? 3?
I'm not too sure.
Something like that.
The guys that do that Toxic Planet video Wobble, like the man ramp dude
Oh
and
yeah,
his
yeah,
crew,
yeah.
they like on their YouTube channel.
Is it? The Gap, did he say?
Oh, this is the gap.
This is
one.
the 50-50 like rail gap. That's
Yeah.
that's so gnarly. Like that's so gnarly. Like I don't know what else you can say. There's so much that
And
can go
again,
wrong, and
and
he just
again, gap rails are now like a few people are doing it now, and it's like that's insane.
Yeah.
Rob Pace is
there's like gapping rail
he's
to
the gap
rail,
rail
and then
guy.
like
It's like something gets unlocked and
Yeah.
and then it's just the new thing.
well, like about like 10, 15 years ago thereabouts, like Leo Romero, this pro skater, like started grinding like up handrails. That like became his thing, and like people just didn't even think that was possible until he just started doing it. And like same with the gap rails. Like it's weird too. It's almost like I feel like some of these like crazier skate tricks that people didn't think were possible, like some of that sort of stuff was kind of inspired by like video games in a way, I think. Like I don't know if you guys grew up like playing like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and stuff.
Oh,
And you just do all this like
absolutely.
crazy stuff, like you jump from one rail to another, and then like you pick up a skateboard after playing the game when you're a kid, and you're like, this is way harder than they make it look like in the game. But then like I don't know, over the years people are just getting so good, they're starting to try some of these crazy things, like jumping from one handrail to another and grinding up rails instead of down, and jumping off roofs, and
kids
skating mega
and
ramps.
kids becoming this good as well.
yeah, it's so cool.
How about those kids you saw in Japan in the skate
dude.
parks?
Unreal. Like
Single digit age, you know.
yeah,
like,
yeah. Like I've been to Japan a couple of times over the last few years, and just like skated with some locals over there at parks, and like there's like two things that stand out to me. Like so, like Japan did really good in the 2020 Olympics, I think, and people were wondering whether like, oh, you know, like a kid's sort of skating for the wrong reasons, and like is it becoming like this really regimented sport thing over there? And like in my experience from like what I saw over there, it's not. There are like, you go to a local skate park over there, and there are kids that just they're skate rats. They just love it. They just like live and breathe it. And some of them are like 7, 8 years old, and they're skating better than like nearly anyone I've seen here.
That's insane.
But yeah, like I was in Osaka in February, and I like went to this local park, and there's this kid who must have been like, I think he's like 7 or 8, just like doing like kicky front boards and like feeble grinds down this park rail, like front feebles down this park rail, like every single shot in runs, and then skating this bowl really well as well. And the skateboard like came up to his chin, like he looked too small to be able to like command control of the setup he was riding.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible. And like, you know, like his attitude too, like him and his friends and his family like came up and said hello to us and asked where we were from, and like they, you know, like invited us to sort of skate with them and stuff like that. It's just really cool. Like they got a really good community around it over there. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess the Olympics is kind of because that formalized skateboarding. I think a lot of parents with young kids are a bit more they approve skateboarding, I think, a bit more, which is what's making some of these kids you know, a bit more supported.
Yeah.
Not a bit
think-
more, like a lot more supported by parents. So I think that's gonna do something to skateboarding progression as well.
Yeah.
It already is doing.
Well, I mean, yeah. So like that makes me think of like two things, right? Like one, like the learn to skateboard sessions we do, like our goal around that is to like make there be like less barriers for people who want to try skateboarding, but also to make it like less intimidating. Like people can like parents can bring their kids to the park and like see that like, oh, okay, there's a whole community here and it's a really positive thing and everyone's really friendly and willing to help you. And yeah, the other thing is like, I noticed a bit of a narrative around the Olympics after it happened, like particularly with like the girls' bowl contest, where people who weren't familiar with skateboarding culture were like really surprised at like, oh, you know, like it's such good sportsmanship and they're all cheering each other on even though they're competing with one another, and like they all look like they're having so much fun and so much joy, and it's like, yeah, well, duh, like that's what skateboarding is. Like you're there to have fun. Like even at that like elite competition level, like all of those people skating in those events, they all know each other and they're all friends and they all skate together and have fun. And like, you're not going to see that with like pole vault and basketball and
That's true.
and like
Yeah.
all these other like sports, you know, like, it's cool. Like I really hope that part of skateboarding never goes away. Like, you know, if Olympic skateboarding gets bigger and bigger and bigger and gains all this momentum, and there are kids that are going to like get into it with hopes and aspirations of doing it, I really hope that part of it where, you know, everyone's cheering each other on and just having a good time, I really hope that never gets taken away by like competitiveness. But you know, like everyone seems so surprised about it. Like, and it's just like I think to anyone who's experienced skateboarding culture, like that's just what like it's inherent to skateboarding. You know, like everyone's there to have fun and have a good time. So
yeah, I think that's what attracted people to skateboarding in the first place. Is
Yeah.
the fun factor, but then you realize there's an element of progress in there.
yeah,
You know that you're like, oh, I can do this, and then you put a few more hours, few more 100 hours
Yeah.
to it to land your first ollie or kickflip or whatever, and that makes
Yeah.
you go like, whoa.
So what I do at like the start of every like learn to skateboard session we run, I give it like a little spiel when I'm teaching like sort of the fundamentals, and then I make sure they tell everyone there like you can like skateboarding is like a choose your own adventure book. Like you can once you get these fundamentals down, you can do whatever you want to do. So like if a kid wants to just use it to skate to school, they can. If they want to be the next Arissa True and get in the Olympics, like go for it, dude. If you just want to hang out and skate with your mates or film a video, you can do that too. Like there's no right or wrong way to do it. Like just go have fun and choose your own adventure.
That's right. And yeah, and like you said, you know, skateboarding culture, like that part of the culture where, you know, even in a competition, you know, people are still fist bumping,
high five and
hugging.
yeah.
Like that's just beautiful. And you know, you can take skaters out of the streets, but you can't take the street out of the
Yeah,
skaters. You know, like that is just it's a beautiful thing. And no matter where you go on the planet, if you meet other skaters, you will speak the same language, and that is just another beautiful thing as well.
I had that experience in like one of my overseas trips too. Like the first time I went to Japan, I like skated this bowl. I don't think it's there anymore, but like backhanded bowl in Osaka, and I had trouble finding the place because it was like kind of in this industrial suburb, and no one that was there spoke any English. We managed to sort of like use like Google Translate on our phones and like photos and stuff, and showed him a photo of my mate skating there a couple of years prior. And I, you know, paid a little donation for their rent for the indoor bowl that they had. Skated with these guys for hours, just like high-fiving and hanging out, even though we couldn't speak each other's language or communicate properly. It was like super cool. It was one of those moments where it was like, yeah, this is something that's like pretty awesome about skateboarding.
More people should start skateboarding. Like you're never too old.
Yeah, never too old.
Woody here will just sort you out at the next
Come and
learn to skate session.
Absolutely. Like we've had I think our oldest participant was in his 60s. We've had people in their 50s and 60s have a go. And you know, we've had kids as young as 2 and 3 have a go, but you know, obviously with like parental help and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, you're never too late to get into it, and it really is for everyone. Like, yeah. Don't let anyone gatekeep skateboarding. Like it's just get in there and have fun and just do what you enjoy and yeah, like it's awesome.
It's a tool of for your freedom actually. It's you know, 4 wheels, and just every time I get on my skateboard, I can't think about anything else, and it's one of the most beautiful things, beautiful feelings. You know, if you're having a tough time with whatever it is, get on the skateboard, and it's hard to think about anything else.
Yeah, I think it like again, maybe I'm just speaking from my own experiences here because everyone has a different experience and different take. But like, I think that like if you get into skateboarding and like battle for tricks and like really give it a go, it like builds resilience and it builds spatial awareness and situational awareness. Like I got into skating when I was a kid because I didn't quite like team sports. It just I just didn't like playing team sports. I didn't like the rules and the structure. I just kind of wanted to mess around and do things at my own pace, and like skateboarding allowed me to do that. But then like the further I got into it, the more I was like, okay, like it taught me to like be persistent and really like work hard to, you know, like learn a trick, because you might have to try a trick like 50, 100 times to get it, and then you get it and there's a payoff. And like being out on the streets, it like kind of teaches you some like street smarts, like how to sort of stay safe out there, because you are out there sort of like interacting with the public, but then also like the spatial awareness factor with like street skating.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you're skating in the streets and there's like other people around and there's traffic and there's things going on, you need to know like what's going on at all places at all times to keep yourself and other people safe. And I think like that's kind of like an underrated skill that skateboarding teaches you. So like I've talked about this like on like radio and stuff before when we've talked about the learn skateboard sessions, but I think that's something that like if you're trying to convince a parent that it's a good idea to get their kids into skateboarding, like talk about those things, because like those are skills that are just transferable to real life. Like you're going to go out there in the real world and do things that aren't skateboarding, where all of that resilience and all of those skills that you build that I just talked about are going to come in like really handy.
Yeah, that's right. And I think so I started skating when I was like 7. When I got my first skateboard, it was some crap skateboard from a sports department shop somewhere in Indonesia. And the streets were not built for skateboarding, so I was skating indoors.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I was tic-tacking my way just throughout the house, from my desk to the kitchen. I would tic-tac. I was just tic-tacking, and that's all I knew how to do. And I think that gave me like really fundamental core strength and balance as a kid, and I think that's also underrated. That
for sure.
benefit.
The coordination and the reaction time that you build up from it too.
Yeah, that's right. So like my balance for different sports, and like if you want to talk about like dancing or basketball, cycling, all those things, I felt like I got that core balance from skateboarding.
Yeah, and you learn how to fall too. It's kind of funny. Like I was I was talking to we were joking with Jim about this like a few months ago. He's like talking about how like if you skate, like you learn how to bail and take a slam and fall. Like you kick your board away and you duck and roll and you get up and you try it again, right? And like if you're in a situation where you like trip and you're not skating, you've just got that like instinct to bail and save yourself, right? Yeah. And then like you kind of forget that a lot of people just don't have that. So like sometimes you'll see someone like trip, or you'll see like videos of people like tripping and falling, and it just looks like they kind of just give up, like they just don't know what to do or don't react at all. But then like, I don't know, you sort of take for granted that as a skateboarder, like you're just used to like throwing yourself down sets of stairs or off ramps, and then like you're like, oh shit, that went wrong. I better just like kick my board away and like do a forward roll and then jump up and then try again. Like you get that reaction time. It's,
you're right about that.
It's underrated.
You get good at knowing how to fall so that you don't hurt yourself. That's I think you're right. That's an underrated skill as well from skaters.
And just to follow on from those, like another thing I've noticed is the creative side of what comes out of the actual act of doing skateboarding. So the filmers, the graphic designers, the photographers, like people think of it as people in the streets causing trouble, but ultimately it is a whole world of building people's skills in places that they take them in the future. Could be anywhere. So that's what got me into it originally too. You mentioned earlier the Erindale brick banks.
Yep.
And I found the stuff about the quest to get these heritage listed.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that and where that's at and where that came from.
Yeah, okay. So about maybe 10 years ago or more, there was like a master plan for Erindale Centre to like redevelop the whole thing. It didn't end up going ahead, but they were going to just rip Erindale skate park out and put a road through it. And that kind of concerned us a little bit because like Erindale brick banks, they are like Belco Bowl. They're a really iconic skate spot. Like they've had international coverage. They're in so many skate videos. And it's such a unique spot. So, so in the early 80s, I think, these brick banks were built by students of a technical college to sort of teach them how to like make like sloped and like odd shaped kind of brickwork. And this wasn't a skate park initially. This was a big courtyard for the college. So these brick banks ran through where the skate park is now, and then through the courtyard of the college, inside of the college, and then out in front of the library. Like I've got childhood memories of like skating polished brick banks inside the building behind it. So it was this running architectural theme throughout Erindale. And then it became that part that's a skate park now became such a popular skate spot that I think local government in the early 90s, it's before my time, but I think they turned it into a skate park. So this is what it looked like before it was converted into a skate park. Tony Hawk and Lance Mountain and a few other like Bones Brigade guys skated this thing in the, I want to say the late 80s. Yeah, there you go.
It's awesome that.
Which is pretty epic, right? Yeah, so yeah, like it's got a lot of history and a lot of heritage value, not just in skateboarding, but just in like the theme of Erindale when it was built. And it's the last remnant of that curved brick architecture in all of Erindale. Like the whole school and library have been renovated, and all the other brick bank spots that used to be all through Erindale were taken out. And the skate park was like the last remaining part. So when we heard that there was a road earmarked to go through there, I thought, okay, what can we do to stop this from happening? So we nominated it. We put a submission in to nominate it to go into the ACT Heritage Register. And it sat there for like 8 years in nominated status, which means it has temporary protections until a call is made on whether it actually is heritage or not. I actually spoke to a lady from ACT Heritage like a couple of months ago, and she said there's finally going to be, like after like eight or so years, there's going to be some movement on it. So we should know whether it's like going to be actually heritage register, like on the heritage register or not. One of the things that like I want to kind of address around that I've had a few questions come to me about is like, you know, if the brick banks go on the heritage register, does that mean that like Erindale Skate Park could never be like redeveloped or changed? And I've been told that no, like the nomination is specifically for that one obstacle, the main bank wall in the skate park. And that would not like exclude the possibility of Erindale maybe in the future getting some sort of upgrade where a new skate park is built around the old banks. Kind of like what happened with Pizzy, like what happened with like Belco Bowl as a remnant from the old skate park. Like that's in a perfect world, I would love to see like a new skate park kind of built with that old bank wall implemented. But yeah, the spot's been in tons of videos, and because it was never built as a skate park, it was never intended to be a skate park. It's like really unique and challenging to skate, and we didn't want to see it go away. So yeah, we put the work in to try and get it heritage nominated, and yeah, we're finally going to get some sort of answer on that in the very near future, I think.
Wow, it's a 10-year.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I don't know the details, but I think there was like a news article in ABC News a while ago, but there was like some sort of issue at ACT Heritage where like nothing was happening. There was some sort of administrative issue or bureaucratic issue where basically like there was a whole big backlog of nominations and nothing happened. And I don't know, some stuff happened over there, and now they're processing nominations again, and there's this big backlog, and they've finally got to the one that we submitted. But yeah, that website you had up there earlier, that was from the CSA site. That was just word for word like what we kind of put in for the heritage nomination, and that was a really fun process too, because like I knew some of the history of the place like through word of mouth, but we had to sort of like do a little bit of research and also get like testimonials from pro skaters, which was kind of fun because like, you know, we hit up like P-Stone, rest in peace. He was a videographer from Thrasher, and he like DM'd us like a testimonial about how many different pro skater teams that he's taken through Canberra specifically to skate Erindale over the years. We got Dan Drehobel to say a few words about the place because he's been through a few times on tours and like just rips the place to shreds. You know, and we're trying to we're doing it again recently, trying to dig up like clips and photos and references of like magazines and skate videos that it's been in over the years. Because like I went to college behind Erindale Skate Park, and like we'd be there every day, and like skate teams would come through Canberra like on Australia tours. They would go to Canberra and like they would skate Erindale and whatever else, and it would kind of baffle people that weren't skateboarders because they're like, oh, you know, Canberra's got Belco Skate Park and all of these big like new like world class skate parks. Like, why are these pros coming to this like little brick bank tucked away in the back of Erindale? I was like, it's because it's unique. Like, it looks super cool on footage. It's challenging. It's hard to skate, and it looks like a street spot. It essentially is a street spot. But yeah, it was really fun doing that whole process of trying to get it heritage nominated and just digging up all of these old photos. Shout out to like Dave Pang in particular. He's been shooting photos of skateboarding in Australia and Canberra since like the late 70s, I think. And he's just got photos from every era the whole way through, and he like dug up some photos of Hawk and Lance Mountain and like Blake Convey. Blake Convey was like the OG like Erindale local in like the 80s and 90s. There's heaps of old photos of him skating there. Like, people used to call the place like the Duck Ponds because, you know, they called him Ducky and he was just always there. super cool, like learning all of this extra history about the place that I didn't know.
Yeah, it's awesome. David Payne, definitely worth following on his Instagram because he just chucks up
Hell yeah.
the coolest stuff.
I've been to his place a couple of times, and like he's got like all these photo archives like in filing cabinets, and it's just nuts. Just like he's just always kind of been there shooting photos like for so long, to the point where like, you know, he'll pull out photos of people from the 80s like that no one's seen before. He just got around to scanning, but then like he's sent me messages at random times and been like, hey, look at this photo I found. And it's like a photo of like me and my friends in like 2006 at like a local comp or something. And I was like, I didn't even know this existed. This is wild. Like he's just got, he's just there. He's just there. He has always been there, like just shooting photos. Super cool.
Are there any spots for you, Alby, that are kind of like that, the Erindale banks for you?
Oh, from a photo,
both
photo,
skating and
skate
or both, yeah.
I think this goes back to also moment as well. I think nothing grand. I think the photo of Justin Schmidt's hard flip at the Belco library double set. That was for me. That was a moment of figuring out a good composition, because at that time I was having troubles thinking, how the hell should I shoot this? You know, and Justin drove from Sydney to get that photo because he got the clip maybe a couple of weeks before that. Brutal thing he did just to get the photo, by the way. Like I think after a few tries we're just like, let's call this before you hurt yourself just trying to get this photo.
It's a pretty iconic spot too, the old double set.
Yeah, it is.
And get that one heritage list as well.
Yeah, get that one. Yeah, and for people who don't know, the run up here, it is so jacked, as skaters would say. It is a very rough run up, and I had this composed kind of a bit differently. It was this part was kind of in the middle of the shot, and it didn't look so good. But Benny D over here gave me a good suggestion of panning the camera this way a little bit to get him off center, and I think I nailed the shot because of his suggestion.
Yeah,
there.
right.
So that was a huge learning moment for me. Is thinking about this, where the skater is in the composition, and sometimes it's a better shot if they're not in the middle of to show the size of it, and that was big for me.
And sometimes to make it obvious what the trick is too, like having a different angle, like helps you kind of get a better idea at a glance of like what flip trick's actually been done. That spot's really cool. I feel like I've got a lot of good, like I've never done a trick down that double set, like, but I feel like I've got a lot of good memories there just from like friends who have done stuff there. Yeah. Like it was super cool. I think it might have been like 2 bowl jams ago when everyone was sessioning the double set, and like nearly everyone that was trying to jump down it were like from out of town. And then
that's right.
Leo did his, I think, a back 180 down it, and it was just like so incredible. It was just like, yes, the local, like he did it.
And Ben Curry almost rolled away with the first ever kickflip that's landed there. Almost.
And then our friend Ranger, he filmed his like video part ender there, and like he did like a roll on nose grind on like the ledge on the edge, just
that's
like
right.
like nose grind sort of roll, and like popped out. And you know, the day he was there, were you there the day that he did that?
Yeah. I was filming the alternate VX angle.
I was filming like an iPhone angle just so that he had like a few different to play with or whatever. And I can remember like, cause like he's a good mate and he was putting so much pressure on himself to like get this trick. And you could see him fatiguing, and he had a couple of attempts where he just kind of slipped, and that thing's pretty high. Like you could get really hurt if you slip off a ledge that high and like fall on your head or whatever. And he had a couple where he was fatigued, and I was just like, man, like if he doesn't get it in like the next 2 or 3 shots, like he's probably going to have to call it or he's going to get hurt. And then like I think like the shot after I thought that, like the attempt after I was thinking that to myself, he just like landed it and rolled away. And it was like his trick that he did, and he was stoked. But like I was just so over the moon for him. Like that's another cool thing about skateboarding, right? Like just the vicarious stoke you can get through like watching your friends or other people like accomplish something like that.
Yeah, that's
super
right.
cool.
It was really happy for him to land that as an ender.
Yeah,
but that spot is also pretty cool because it's got different ways you can skate it. Like you can either skate the rail, the steps, or that roll-on ledge on the side. And there's maybe other ways to skate it.
There's I feel bad that I can't remember who the photo is of, but there was like an old, I think like a DC ad where like between the double set and the triple set where there's the wheelchair ramp that wraps around, someone ollied over the rail, like popped over the rail from the wheelchair ramp and like took the drop down to the other side of the double set, like where the overpass bridge is.
Oh wow.
Like it's pretty gnarly. But yeah, I think that spot predates the original Belco skate park. Like that was a spot that like a lot of, you'd have to ask some of the older heads, but pretty sure that was a spot that like used to get skated pretty heavily before the first Belco skate park got built. So like some of those old ledges there have been like
in the triple
skated
set,
and like skated and grinded and jumped down since like before first Belco park in like 1991 or whatever it was.
Yeah, and the bowl jam this year really.
Oh yeah,
really.
You've still got history being made there, right? Because like Nixon's triple kink that we were looking at earlier was like that's just like what 50 meters away from the double set. Super cool.
Yeah, and because the run up was the wood, the planks of wood that's there, that made the run up more stable. I think so many tricks went down. Yeah, that was insane to watch.
Man, Canberra's got so much good skate history. Like it's one of those things. Like we could sit here, you could sit here for hours and just like rattle off like stories and tricks and things that people have done and stories from spots. It's like,
and my stories are only the last 5 years that I picked up a skateboard again. You would have stories.
Oh no, not even. Like I've got my stories, but then like there's the generation and or two before me as well that have like so many cool stories at the same spots from like the from like the early 90s and the late 80s when I was just too little to skate. Yeah, it's so cool.
And every time Dave Donahue and I talk about like when we were in school and the demos we went to, like we were at the same demos.
Yeah, you know what's wild? Like that's a demos is like it's interesting you brought that up. That is like. Skaters tend to do this thing where they kind of have like this like golden era fallacy where they talk about things used to be so much better back in, and then they'll like say that the time period that they grew up skating, right? Which I think is like it's like okay, right, but one of the things that used to happen more that doesn't happen anymore that I really miss is demos. Like, and I think because of social media and the internet, like for better or worse, like. Pros will come through a town and like film tricks for a video, but they won't go to the local park and like skate in front of the kids at a demo because they can just upload stuff on Instagram and interact with their audience that way. Yeah. But in like the 90s and the 2000s to like skate in front of these kids and get an audience and like, sort of showcase what you're doing and promote the tour, you would have to actually go to a skate park. And I've got so many good memories of just epic demos in Canberra. And like, it's cool that you and Dave were at the same demo.
Yeah, but we didn't know each other.
Yeah, dude, there's a photo of the original Civic skate park when it had its last sessions in 2003 before it got ripped out. There is a photo of someone doing a trick in the mini ramp. And in the background, I think there's like me, Ricky Baker, Aaron Scarcella, and maybe Matt Mason. We're all next to each other. I didn't know those guys back then. Like we were just coincidentally sitting next to each other. And like, I think it might even have been a David Pang photo, but it was just like, isn't that wild that we're all just the same place at the same time?
Wow.
Yeah.
No, those old Civic skate park, man, that was such a unique skate park. That rail on the side that's right next to I used to board slide that holding the fence.
That's gnarly. It had a really good mini ramp. The rest of the park was a bit
that's right.
Bit difficult to skate, but really cool.
And that vert wall as well, that was just there.
Yeah.
What
We're just reminiscing.
No,
at this
it's
point.
awesome to listen to and really cool having you guys in. I'll let you guys go, but I want to ask one more thing.
Sure.
Or a couple more things. We spoke about the old stuff, but the new vert ramp at Belco featuring some artwork inspired by your photography.
Yes.
The whole artwork on the back is pretty cool to see. How someone's taken your photography and
shout out to Hull.
I recognise two of them straight off the bat.
Yeah,
just from that.
I think you've got Annie on the far left. Is that Annie's silhouette?
That's not my photo though, but that is Annie. Yes.
Yeah, and then I feel like the second one from the right, is that one of your photos?
This one.
Yeah.
That was the Henny's kickflip.
Yeah. We were just looking at that earlier. I'm like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting concept, that one. Like just like bird people with no skateboards under them, just kind of striking poses. That's really cool.
And funnily enough, that. So, is it James, isn't it?
I'm
so sorry, man.
Yeah, just I only ever know him as whole.
So he took. That's Aaron Scarcy over there, doing a frontside flip at Jindy Skate Park. That's Henny and that. So he got that off one of Ricky Baker's videos.
Yeah.
And
isn't that crazy? As soon as you say who the skater is, I'm like, I look at the silhouette of like them, and I'm like, that's Ricky Baker's style.
Wait,
like that's so wild.
So what's funny is that's he thought that was Ricky Baker, but it's not.
It's not.
It's a he phrased that's me.
That's you.
Yeah.
Right. There
that's
you go.
Me.
I feel silly now.
I was doing a switch frontside flip, and that's me. I was like,
that's cool.
I was like, what? That's me.
I could have sworn it was like, it looks like
it looks like Ricky Baker doing a crooked grind.
You and Ricky have similar styles.
Yeah. Oh, compliment. Yeah. But yeah, that's we're now birds on a vert. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's cool.
So good.
Yeah, shout out to him for
And the final question, the iconic van that you drive around.
Oh yes.
I found the video on your Instagram of the history that thing has been.
Oh yeah, a
on.
little montage I made.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about that van and what's where that's been.
Oh, so
and what that's seen.
Yeah. If that van could talk. Yeah. No, I got that van like nearly 15 years ago. And I got it because I wanted a vehicle that I could like comfortably put like 7 mates in and like just go on skate trips. And I don't know how long I expected to keep it for, but 15 years later, I've still got the thing and I'm still going on skate trips in it. So like over the years, I've lost count of how many Canberra to Melbourne trips we've done in it, and how many Canberra to Sydney trips I've done in it. But like we would just fill the van with people because you can make it go limo mode as well, where you're facing each other in the back. We'd fill the van with people like on any given weekend, just pick a skate park or pick a series of skate parks and go. And it's just so much fun. Like it had the engine blow up in it a few years ago and I nearly got rid of it. And then I was just like looking at all these old photos and videos and I was just like, you know what, like there's nothing on the market at the moment that like has the space and the features that this old Japanese van has. So I just, put a new engine, got someone to put a new engine head in it and kind of revamped it. And yeah, now I'm going on road trips again with my friends. It's just, I don't know, if you're considering getting a van and like going on trips with your friends, like don't think about it, just do it. It's the best fun. You won't get anywhere in a hurry. They're slow. It's a big slug, but it's just so much fun and so versatile.
How many Ks has it got on it?
It's nearly 350,000. It was really low kilometers when I got it. It's like a Japan import, but yeah, pretty much got that thing to do skate trips. And then, it also became like the vehicle that enabled us to do the learner skate sessions because I can chuck all the gear in the back and do that. So yeah, that's super stoked you asked me that. It's like it's really like a really kind of like personal thing, but yeah, it's like really important to me. I love that van and I love all the memories that I've had in it. So
you often see it driving down the street here, and
you would. I live down the road, so
But
yeah, cool.
Very cool. But lads, thank you so much. We'll wrap it up, and awesome having you guys in and chatting about all things skating in Canberra. So really appreciate it, and thanks to everyone for watching too, and we'll stay tuned and be back for more.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure.
Man.
No, that was awesome. Thank you.
Sweet.
Catch ya.